Hello and welcome to my interview with the wonderful Amber T. Now, there's two different versions of this interview because this interview is quite old, but I thought I'd include it on the podcast because I feel like I've got some unfinished business with this interview. When it originally came out, it was kind of such a busy time period, like in my life for me, and it was kind of busy for Amber as well. She had a lot going on with the release of like Contagious, and I had a lot going on with like uni and kind of like work life, and it was really hard to find that kind of like balance. So I felt like it's now we're at a time where I feel like I'm quite a lot better at what I do than what I was back then, even though it wasn't particularly so long ago. But, you know, we carry on learning and we carry on developing, you know, as people all the time. Like, we're constantly learning new things. And I feel like I'm very much in that vibe at the minute. So, yeah, I feel like I've really got some unfinished business with this interview. And it's one of those interviews where I'm so happy that it happened and just so proud of it. And it's filled me with joy to kind of like sit in the sidelines and be watching Amber and seeing what she's been doing for the past few months since the interview. I mean, I think we recorded this back in April, and when it came out around June time, and then it's back out now, and it just feels really good to have it out on this platform. I'll be dropping both versions. So there's this version, so this is the remastered version where I've proper had a good, you know, it's a good podcast cut, and then the next version after this episode is the live version that originally went out on OMG. And that edit's a little bit rougher, it's a bit more, you know, kind of like rough and ready, but I feel like it still stands the test of time. You know, it's a good little reminder of, you know, what happened at the time, and, you know, what it sounded like when it went out over the radio. And I like that feel. Like, there's the sweepers and the jingles in it, and I don't know, I really like that feel. I like that like authentic feel. And yeah, as I say, you know, Amber's just been smashing it these past few months. In fact, she's been smashing it for the whole year. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's literally so young, and we talk about this in the interview. She's so young, she's achieved so much, and I really feel like it feels like I've interviewed quite a few really young artists now that are just absolutely just smashing it. They're just jumping into the deep end, you know, head first, and they're literally just smashing it. It's great. It's just so good to see. Amber is one of those artists. It's just been so good watching her grow these past few months and just continue to grow and just, you know, develop and change, as have I. Do you know what I mean? And it's just been fab. So I really hope that you enjoyed this kind of old interview. It is kind of old now, but, you know, it's still in date, and it's brilliant. It is one of my faves. It meant a lot to me at the time, and it really, really still does now. And I'm just so happy that you know, it's been given justice. You know what I mean? And it's back, and it's seeing the light of day, and more people can hear it now. More people can meet Amber, and that is exactly what I wanted to happen. So yeah, enjoy the interview. It is fab.
Hello. I'm trying to
Hello,
get
is
some.
that Amber? Oh, hello. You're all right.
Surprise.
Good to
Hi.
go. You're all right.
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
You know when you feel like you're having one of them days? I feel like that today.
Yeah, no,
Feel
I
a
feel
bit
that.
all over the place. I
That
don't
was
know
me
what's
just then
going
trying
on.
to get this on.
I'm just, yeah, it's just one of them days where I'm just, you know, when you're just not going to win. I feel like that. I feel like
Yeah.
not aligned in the stars today.
Yeah.
I feel like,
Not
yeah.
the day today.
Yeah, you're going to have to excuse my appearance as well. I do look a bit like I've been dragged through a bush.
Oh no, it's
That's
fine,
much
honestly.
weather for you. Pulling through when I have these interviews, it always likes to make me look my best. Yeah, just having a bit of a nightmare, but yeah. Are you okay? How's your day going?
Good. I couldn't. I was like an old lady trying to log on. I was like, oh, don't take the code. I managed. I'm back on. I survived.
Oh, I get you. I've been like that today. I've been like that. I just don't know where my dates are, where my times are.
Honestly, no,
I'm
I'm
just,
the same. I've been like this all day.
yeah, too many numbers, and I'm about it. That's how I feel as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm ready to start whenever you am.
Yeah, no, I'm ready. I'm
That's
ready to
brilliant.
go.
Banging. So I'm just gonna ask you a few questions just to get to know you a bit better, and just for our Stoke listeners to get to know you a little bit better.
Perfect.
So like you're really young, aren't you? How old are you?
I'm 19.
Oh my God. Yeah, legit, really young. Like how just how? Like, that's the question. That's the first one. Just how, like, have you enjoyed like your career so far? I mean, you've had so much success in such like little time. It's like it's mind blowing. Like, have you enjoyed it?
Yeah, no, it's definitely like obviously I feel like now because I'm 20 next year, but like looking back at everything I've done over the past like 5 years, it's kind of like, whoa, this has all happened like already. I just it doesn't feel real to be honest, like stuff that I've like experienced and I'm lucky to experience. It's like, what? That's happened. It's crazy, really.
Yeah, I get yeah. And um it is mind blowing stuff. Because when I was your age, I mean, 20 isn't fun. 20 is not fun. 20 is not exciting. Everyone says it is, it ain't. 20 is lame, I'm afraid. But like when I was your age, I was thinking about the Xbox, you know what I mean? I didn't really have my head
Priorities.
in the game. You know what I mean? So it's like it's mind blowing for me to like look at how far you've come, even through like the past few years, you know, like you said 5 years, right? Like
Yeah,
five
about
years
four or
of your
5 years,
work.
yeah.
It's just crazy. Like, you know, it's mind blowing. But let's talk about Contagious. Um,
Yeah,
I feel like it feels really different to your other work. I feel like
it is.
it's very
Yeah.
fresh for you right now. You know what I mean? It's kind of a newer sound for you. What has inspired it? What's gone behind it?
To be honest, it was just like a random I was doing a writing session with a guy called Rob Davis who produced some of Kylie Minogue stuff, which was crazy in the first place. And he came up, he was like trying to think of some like songs and that. And obviously, I normally am quite a guitar based girl. Get my guitar out, write a song like that. But he was saying, oh, like the sort of liquid drum and bass stuff's really big. I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm quite open to doing anything, to be honest, because I'm so young. I feel like it'd be silly for me now to be like, no, I'm only doing this genre, blah, blah. But yeah, he played me this track, and like I was like, oh, this one works. He played me a few, and I really like that one. And we literally just wrote it in one day in that studio, and that was literally it. Like it was just it got a few weeks later, and it was like, oh, this is it. And I was like, this is quite cool. This is a bit different, and I like a bit of difference sometimes. It changes things up.
Yeah, it's really chill. I love it. I think it's a banger.
Oh, thank
It's really,
you.
really chill, really good. Something you should definitely be really, really proud of. And talking about like music and how we kind of like stream it and this, that, and the other, you've got a lot of streams on Spotify. Is physical music like interesting to you, like in the future, maybe like CDs, vinyl, cassette? I mean, we've got all this kind of physical music like coming back into like fruition. Is that something that would like interest you in the future? I mean, it's very expensive to
I
like
think,
do.
yeah, like obviously the vinyls have come back so much. Um, and like I mean I got a vinyl player as soon as they were cool because everyone had one. I was like, I'm gonna get one. But I do think with like CDs and stuff, like I don't know, like with my old car, I had to have a CD. So I was like trying to find all these CDs. Got a cat in there. I got all the CDs lying around in my car, and I just thought it'd be so cool, like one day to have a more. I feel like it makes more of your song. Like it's there more of a physical thing rather than like, oh, it's just search up in Spotify. Because I mean, sometimes we do get a few CDs printed for radio, and I always find it really cool, like having your face on the CD and your name on it, because that's like kind of what I grew up before Spotify and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have. It's nice to have something from an artist that is physical. You know, it's kind of cool. There's something cool about it. I don't know what it is. I can't put my
Yeah.
finger on it, but there's just something nice about it to have like something physically and be like, oh, you know, someone made that, and you know, now I've got it. But do you find it weird? I mean, this is kind of like an open question, but like, do you find it weird that people are like so interested in you? Is that like kind of like mind-boggling? Because like, you know, you've got a random interview from me. Like you've got no, you know, no clue who I am. You know what I mean? It's weird that like I'm interested in kind of like your background and like how you've kind of like come to be. Is that like strange to like get round?
It's not really strange to me, I don't think, because in some ways, at the same time, I feel like I'd like to ask myself the same question, just like, how does this even happen? Like, what? But no, I mean, I quite like talking about because I don't really tend to reflect on it that much, and I never really. So when I do things like this, where I actually kind of think, oh yeah, like I've done that and I've done that, it's quite cool and it's quite nice to talk about because I like to try and keep it on the lowdown because obviously. Up until like July last year, I was still in like secondary. Well, I was in sixth form, like school, and like I never really wanted to talk about it too much there because you just didn't want to be like you're boasting or whatever. Like you just keep on low down. Oh yeah, just do a bit of music, whatever. So it's quite nice sometimes to actually be able to talk about it like in depth and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, even that sentence is just, I can't wrap that sentence around my head. Like being in sixth form last year, I'm like, oh my God, that ain't computing with me. Like, that don't make no sense. But yeah, I mean, it is really weird. And you kind of diminish yourself sometimes. I mean, it's like for me, like sometimes I'll look at the stuff that I've done and I'll be like, I feel like I've done nothing. You know what I mean? I feel
Yeah,
like all them years and I've like done absolutely nothing. But it's weird, like looking back and having the chance to be like, self-reflective and kind of like looking into stuff is weird. It is very, very strange.
100%. No, I'm with you on that one.
But has it been like hard balancing that kind of like personal life? Was it hard going through like school and like college, um, dealing with like the music as well? Was it weird or did
Um,
they kind of go in
it was
balance?
definitely easier when I got to like sixth form because obviously I only had like a few lessons a week, so it was kind of like, I could do a bit more and I was able to focus a bit more as well because I was predominantly just studying music at like sixth form. It was like, okay, well, I was writing songs in that music lesson that I could use for myself. But before then, when I was in like, because I mean, like, when TikTok came out, that was year 10. So I was like 15. So that was like in the middle of all the GCSE, stuff and everyone. I had an exam that year, I remember. It was right in the middle. And I remember like you had to switch off sometimes. You'd be like, look, now the main focus is your music and posting about it and doing interviews and did like a few news stuff, like doing that. But then other times it'd be like, now you need to switch that off and really focus on like your education and put your head down in some books and proper
Yeah.
proper learn.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, I see, I admire you for that because I hated college. I hated that, you know what I mean? And I just remember it being like completely bogged down. So I couldn't imagine like doing what I'm doing now, like in college. And to think that you were doing like all of this in college, I'm like spellbound. I'm legit like, I just don't like, I don't know what it is. I know I keep saying it, I keep banging on about it, but like, because we are kind of similar in age. And it's weird because I think about my experience and how painful that was. And I'm kind of like, oh my God, like it is admirable. And a lot of people miss that. A lot of people don't see that kind of like side and don't see like the growth and all of this. They don't get to see it. So it's good to do these interviews and kind of like, so people can see it and can see all the effort that's gone into
Yeah,
everything.
100.
And we kind of went on about this just a little bit earlier. We kind of touched upon it. Can you see yourself like evolving and like maybe even like completely changing genre, going for a completely different like attack, and completely changing the way you do things like in the future? Is that something that you're open to?
I think definitely, like, I mean, all the like artists that I listen to myself, compared to like 10 years ago, their music's completely different now. And I think that's the thing that obviously comes with what's ever popular at the time, like, and whatever's current. And then also personal taste. Like, I know compared to what I was listening to 5 years ago to what I'm listening to now, like, there's a big difference. So I think, like, with me, it's just, I like to keep what I listen to quite broad because I'm taking in new styles and new ways of writing lyrics. But yeah, I mean, like, I've always said I'm never shut off to anything, like maybe metal or something a bit like that, because I don't think I'd kind of work on that. But anything that I enjoy, I think is the most important thing. Like,
Definitely.
if other people don't enjoy it, it's obviously, it's not ideal, but as long as I enjoy it, then that's probably what matters most.
Yeah, and it's really good to be like open-minded like that because it's the kind of thing that'll take you far, you know what I mean? As long as you're open to everything, open-minded, then sky's the limit. And it's really good to hear you say that you would be open to everything because it keeps things exciting, you know what I mean? And
Yeah,
it
definitely.
keeps like the unknown, you know what I mean? I mean, it's hard to look into the future, we've got crystal balls on us, but like it is really hard to kind of predict what's going to happen or where we're going to go. But like you said, it also depends on like what's happening at the time with stuff that's happening personally, stuff that's changing with the musical like industry, and a lot of it at the minute is kind of like TikTok. Has TikTok been good for you?
Sort of. I'm still trying to like work it. I can't lie. It's one of the weird things. You got to time it right, and you got to whatever you post has got to get it at the right time. But I think with my like singles that I've got now and stuff that's upcoming, I've definitely because I've seen a bit more of how people are using TikTok to like promote their stuff. It's given me more like not ideas necessarily, but ways to go about it. Because before it was a bit like, well, do I just post my song and hope that people use it? Like now there's all these things like you take parts of the lyrics and make it like a funny joke or whatever. So yeah, no, it sort of has, sort of isn't. I'm kind of trying to play with it a bit and see where it takes me.
Yeah, I mean, it is tough. It's scary. I don't
Yeah.
understand how none of that works. You know what I mean? Like, it's mind blowing. I don't know how that works. You know, I'm a bit of a granddad when it comes to technology. You
It's
just
so
did me
weird.
logging into this, before it was a nightmare, you know what I mean? Going out the window. But I think that you are very like relatable. You are a very relatable person. You seem to be like a very like down to earth person. Who's yeah, like very, very relatable. Is that something that you want to carry on with?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like in the personal, not as a musician, but like as a listener, I always find that acts that like, act above you, or like they're obviously you don't mind if an act, you admire them in a way that they're like not superior to you, but you know what I mean, like in that way. But you always want someone that you can like connect to, because that's at the end of the day what kind of makes you want to go to their gigs and see them in concert and all of this. So yeah, I definitely try, like, want to be as down to earth as possible, so people can be like, oh, she's like me, rather than, oh, she's trying to be something.
Yeah, it's a hard balance to strike, I think. It's
Yeah.
very difficult because sometimes you lose sight of things, you know what I mean? Like with workload and everything. And it's very difficult. It's a very, very difficult like industry to be in. I mean, you've been kind of at it though for quite a long time, 5 years, like that,
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's a long time or a short amount of time. I can't quite tell. It feels like
It's
5 minutes,
yeah,
feels like
it
five
feels
minutes.
short for me, but then when you look at my age, it's like a lot longer, because obviously your age, like when you're younger, is quite a big gap between 15 to 19.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been fun so
And your
far.
body of work as well. You've got like a load of singles, out now that are all really, really good. And
Thank you.
it takes such a long time for like artists to find their style and their sound. And it feels like you found it, you know what I mean? And it feels like you've really nailed your own like formula of making something that's really good and, just really, really good. Um, but have you had a chance to perform yet? Have you had a chance to do performances so far? What's been your
Yeah.
favorite?
Last year I did a lot of sort of like summer festivals, and one of them was Foodies. And they had acts like Scouting for Girls and Sophie Ellis Bextor, Blue, all these guys. And I was lucky enough that they thought they'd put me as the support for Blue. So just before Blue came on in Brighton, and it was crazy. I mean, it was so last minute that I had to get like my like people that were in my class at school to become like my band in a way. And I mean, since then they've been my band ever since. Like we've got loads more gigs coming up in the summer, because sometimes I like to sort of spice it up, because as fun as it is on my own, I always like having a bit of like support with me so I can move around a bit more. But yeah, no, we did a lot of sort of festival stuff last year. That was one of my favorites, and a few more coming up this year, which is very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant stuff. Really, really good to hear. Have you got any advice for people that are kind of just starting out?
I would just definitely say my top two things would be write your own songs, or try and write songs, and don't think that they're like rubbish. Because I remember the amount of songs I wrote and I go, no, not playing that to anyone, they're awful. And they probably were awful. But if no one knows you have that ability, then no one's gonna care. And the second thing is to learn an instrument, even if it's like averagely played, it makes such a big difference. Like when you go to gigs, like I started off doing open mics locally to me. And you weren't allowed to do them unless you played an instrument. So I was like, look, I got to learn guitar and I got to learn keyboard. And it just sort of, I don't know, it inspires you a bit more, I think, when you know that these tracks you're making, you can play as well as sing. Like it adds a bit more, I don't know.
Yeah, and you said the guitar's like your kind of like instrument, isn't it? Is it the
Yeah,
guitar?
yeah, I'd say the guitar is, I mean, I'm self-taught on all my instruments. It's just the random when I was like 8, I remember I said to my brothers, like, I want to play guitar. So they taught me the four chord song. And since then I've obviously grown my sort of musical thing. And then I was like, I want to learn keyboard. So I taught myself the keyboard. But it's sort of like growing in skill and stuff. Because I've never had a teacher, so it's kind of like using YouTube. So I'm lucky in the sense I've got stuff available to me where I can learn from.
That's amazing. See, it's still like mind-blowing stuff. I mean, like self-taught on all instruments. Mate, I picked up the guitar. I beef with the guitar, you know what I mean? Me and the guitar, I got beef. We do not get along. I've got an electric guitar like knocking about, and I've tried to pick it up. I've tried to do it, and I just can't do it. I'm beefing with it. I don't know how to hold it. I'm dropping it. It's just not going well. And yeah, I really admire that. I got a piano as well, and that's out of tune. That don't work. You know what I mean? So me and the music side, we don't really
Yeah,
go.
let's leave
So
it.
see, I'm kind of easily impressed though. But I'm thinking that Stoke listeners that are going to be listening back to this and like getting to know you, they're going to be amazed. You know what I mean? It's really really
Thank
exciting
you.
stuff. Um, but what would you say your proudest moments been so far? I mean, you've had 5 years of doing this. Even if it's big or small.
Um, I think the most standout thing, and the thing I always say to people, and even though really it's probably not as big as like, performing in front of 10,000 people, whatever, but I had a song that came out pretty nearly 3 years ago now, called No Company, and Elton John actually played it on his Apple TV, Apple Music podcast thing. And to me, that was the craziest thing in itself that he played my song on there. But the fact that afterwards he compared me to Stevie Nicks, first of all, which was the huge compliment, but also mentioned how brilliant I was. And to hear like Elton John say that about me was just like I'm still like in shock now because it just doesn't feel real.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of it don't feel real, you know. You've achieved so much, like so much. It's like, I have artists all the time like come through, and I kind of like look into them, look at the, background, see what I'm, getting myself into, and you see if them, you know, good, and whether they fit the station. And you were just perfect, and
Oh, thank
so
you.
much, so much to be excited about, and the future is so bright. It's such exciting stuff. And I'm really, really lucky to be able to talk to someone who's just so clever and got so much going on and like ahead of them. It's really exciting for me. So I don't know how it must feel for you. It must be thinking, feeling great.
Yeah, I mean, it's just every day I think it's like always something new and exciting to look forward to. You got your peaks and you got your lows, but it's always like looking at the positives all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and just to kind of like finish off, I'm gonna leave you alone now with all the questions. Going into it blind, it's hard, you know what I mean? It's good, it's hard going into these like interviews blind, not knowing, who you're gonna have and who's gonna be
Oh
like what
yeah.
questions you're gonna have, and it's kind of like tough. But are there any kind of like dates that you want to mention? Any like EPs, maybe like an album, tours, singles, any kind of key dates that you kind of want to let everyone know about?
Well, obviously I've got my brand new single out, Contagious, at the moment, so check that out on Spotify. I've got so much new music coming because the past few years I've kind of only put like one, two singles out a year because it's just been a bit more. As I was at school, it was harder to get stuff done. But as I've been out of school, recorded so many songs, there's so much more coming, which I think really show my sound more. They're more connected. So keep your eyes peeled, obviously, on all my Spotify. And yeah, I mean, I'm posting all about my gigs and stuff on my socials. So they'll all be up there, all the exciting ones popping up here and there. But yeah, no, lots of new singles coming. So keep your eyes peeled.